Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this from. What's the crack? Big Scott here, All Leeds TV. This is, of course, our player ratings after a very important point that we got at home to Southampton. And yes, whilst now looking at other results, it may feel like 2 points dropped. It is still a very, very hard-earned point against a very similar team with experience in the Premier League. And 4 or 5 years under their current manager, whereas this is a Leeds team with 5 games under their current manager with a record of 2 losses, 2 wins, and a draw. You can't complain about that. That's good. That is a good start, I think, anyway, under the era of the Marcinon together. So, yeah, I think just while we're there, just wanted to get that out, my initial my reaction in hindsight type thing. But listen, before we do get into the player ratings, if you are watching along, make sure you do put them wee comments in there. Let me know what your score for each player would be and who your man of the match would be as well. Also, make sure you hit that wee like button for me too. That would be really, really appreciated. So thanks very much. Right. Shall we just get into it? As it stands, firstly, we are 16th, 8 points away from 18th, and 4 points at the minute of me looking at this. I think we're 4 points off 9th. So yeah, I'm not even discussing us in a relegation battle anymore, particularly if we do get a win against Watford next week. So yeah, advance notice, there will not be a watch along from me next week, as I've got other work and stuff and other things to do. But yes, look, let's get straight into our player ratings, and let's start it off with our goalie, Illan Meslier. The S is silent. It's drilled into me now. I thought Meslier done as well as he could do with what was thrown at him. And the truth is, he didn't have a lot to do. There was no spectacular saves. It was simple, basic saves. I'm not going to get into the free kick because James Ward-Prowse is probably one of the best free kick takers in this league. And I don't think anyone saves that. So I'm not going to say, oh, he could have positioned himself better or he could have done this better. I started off as a goalie when I played football, and I don't think anyone saves that. It was a great free kick. My only qualm with Meslier was that his distribution's gone. And I've noticed this the last load of games. Every time he's getting that ball, he's trying to pick out one of the defenders who then think they're messy and try and skim players, and then they get skinned and whatever. But every time he's kicking that ball up, it's going straight to an opposing player. And again, that was one of the initial attractive things about Meslier initially when we got him in, was that his distribution was fantastic. And the last few games, in fact, the last while, it just hasn't been up to scratch. Maybe it's a case of we need a target man for him up front. He just hoofs that ball and hopes that we get it. Because if he's getting that right up to him, you know, say you have Joffrey up there, if Meslier is able to get the ball right up to him, you're not even going to focus on his distribution because you're going, right, he's brilliant. Got that ball up to him. He's getting assists under his belt, you know. That's what I'm thinking. Overall, he didn't have a lot to do. The only thing for me really let him down was poor distribution throughout the match. I'm going to give him a 6. I think for what he had to save, he done well. He wasn't tested enough, I don't think. And I suppose in a way that's good. But I think 6 is fair on the whole. That's what I'd be giving Meslier. Now, going to move on to Bill Ayling, who's been the captain of this team for some time now. Obviously, wasn't the captain against Southampton because Captain Cooper was back. It took him a while. We'll get into him in a minute. But Bill, again, I think his second half performance in that Wolves match has let a lot of people including myself, forget just how poor he's been throughout the season. And I think it's just, I don't know if it's an age thing. We all love Billy Ealing. We do. I do. I think he's a fantastic player and stuff, and he's done well for us. But recently, it's just not been good enough, and players are absolutely taking the hand out of him. I think the only thing he done right was whenever the ball smacked up in the face, he kind of laughs it off. He just flops down and then sits up like the Undertaker used to do. I don't know. I don't know what's happened. And it does, for me, it seems to be our older players, those ones getting on 30 or over 30. They're just not cutting it. Just not cutting it. And Bill again against Southampton, he was left for dead so many times. He was skinned by Walker Peters over and over throughout the match. And he was their left back. You know, so I don't know. Walker Peters was exceptional for Southampton in my opinion, but Bill just wasn't getting the passes right. Apart from a few. Now, going forward, this is where I don't get now. I'm a traditionalist and think when you're a right back, you need to be better at defending. But going forward, Bill looked like he was going to set something up. He had great vision, and he knew what he wanted to see happen. You know, he was giving good balls up to Raphinha and stuff, but then coming back and defending, it was letting him down tremendously. Overall, now you might think I've been a bit harsh on this, but overall, I have given Luke Ayling a 5. I think defensively he was poor and he's a defender. Yes, going forward, maybe stop me from giving him maybe a 4. But yeah, it just seems to be an ongoing issue that some of our defenders look better going forward than they are defending. But let me see what you put for Ayling as well. Just make sure you get them in the comments. And before we go any further, as always, so we're going to move on to our left back, who was Stuart Dallas. But make sure you've hit that like button while we're at it too. Right, so. Left back. The only option we really have at the minute is Stuart Dallas, who is obviously better served in other positions. But then we've seen later on in the game when Pascal come on for Bill, Stuart drops the right back and Pascal goes the left back. Again, so people say we don't really have that many options at left back. I said it on the big match preview. I would rather see Pascal at left back and Dallas in midfield. Right, see if anyone's going to comment on the state of this t-shirt. I've been practicing the clown makeup at the minute, so behave yourselves. Right, Sturdy Dallas, again, left back, another match, and he would have been better left back in the changing rooms. It was just, I don't know if it's a pace thing. I don't know. It's just not the player of the year that we had last year. I don't want to sound too hard on him because, again, going forward, he had great link up with Harrison, fantastic link up with Forshaw. And he just, again, going forward, has good vision. And I'm trying not to be too hard on him because he is one of my favourite Leeds players ever. Like, he's up there with Eric Baca. He is. See? He's literally up there with Eric Baca. One of my favourite Leeds players ever. But at the minute, I just think we need someone else at left back. I'd rather see Pascal at left back and see Dallas as a pivot with Calvin or Forshaw. Or see Dallas at right back instead of Bill Ayling. There's options there, and when you've got a utility man like Dallas, hell, I would even rather see him at the left wing instead of Harrison. Truthfully. Again, going forward, he's got that vision, he's got that experience and knowledge to know who's where, he knows to look around, and he's got good passing, but he doesn't have that pace to stop players coming down that right side, you know, or our left side. You know, he was being skinned constantly. He was being left for dead constantly, and it's been happening constantly. It's the same problem with Bill Ayling. So again, on that, and again, I don't want this to seem too harsh. I think Dallas gets a 5. Again, Just nothing of note, really. And it's just struggling to stay on top of players. But again, going forward, brilliant. You know, we need a left back that can defend. We need a right back that can defend. We've got two fullbacks at the minute that are great going forward, but not so good when it comes to defending. On the subject of defending, we're going to move on to Diego Llorente. Comes into we've seen the old centre back pairing that we had before Cooper's injury. Diego Llorente, for me, as the seasons went on, has proved to be a liability more and more and more. And particularly in those first sort of 10 minutes of the Southampton match, we're seeing more of the same. We're seeing scrappy, desperate, schoolboy errors from Llorente, trying to skin players, holding on to the ball too long when you've got options. You know, I don't know what he's trying to achieve there, but in my opinion, Llorente should not be one of the first choice centre backs. I don't know if it's going with age, seniority type thing or what, but lately he's just not cutting the mustard. He's just not cutting the cheese or whatever saying you want to throw out there. Out of all our centre backs, in my opinion, he is the weakest link, and I'm giving him a 5. I've literally, it sounds hard, but I think the one thing that I can pick out from that match that I went, right, well, he done that well, was when Southampton nearly had a chance, and Southampton did have a chance. Meslier saved it, and then Dallas tried to flick it away, sort of like a clearance off the line almost, and it went straight to Southampton player. But Cooper was kind of left in the middle, and he didn't know what was going on, and it was just a quick reflex from Llorente that was able to get that ball away. For me, that's the only good thing I can remember him doing in the whole match. That's the truth. That's it. That's me. Let me see what you've said in the comments below. Obviously, I'm going to be checking out these comments and just seeing how far off am I. Right. A return, not a return of the king, but a return of the captain. Super duper Liam Cooper. I don't know why I'm saying that like a Geordie. But yeah, Captain Coops was back. And this might sound contradictory to what I've just said, but without Cooper in that defensive line, and despite him certainly not having the same level of ability as other defenders that we have as options, his organisation and leadership of that defence, and you can see it, there's no other defenders doing it, and Bill Ayling certainly wasn't doing it when he was captain. It kept the defence together, and we looked a bit more solid as a unit. Individually, they weren't great, but as a unit, that was a good, strong defensive line at times, and that solely, in my opinion, came down to Liam Cooper, because he was calling it, he was organising it, and he knew what needed done. I definitely think this zonal marking suits Cooper better. There was very few times I was worried about stupid fouls and things, aside from, when the free kick came in, but sorry about that. That wasn't down to Cooper. Walker Peters skinned Bill, Klitsch, Dallas, Force. He skinned everyone before he was brought down, and then they get the free kick and scored. But overall, Cooper, for me, was the best defender we had on the day. And if not for him, I think that defence would have crumbled. I certainly wouldn't be giving the other three as high as a 5, I don't think. So for me, Cooper was up there as a possible contender for man of the match for me. Even though I didn't put him in the poll, but he was ruled in and he was voted second. But for me, he gets a 7. It was a solid performance. It was great to see him back. And he did. I think if not for Cooper, that is it. That defense falls apart. I don't care about anyone else's ability. I think Cooper's level-headedness, his organisation, and his leadership helped bolster that defense when in other times it was weak. Again, he did make a couple of minor mistakes, and oddly, whilst I give Llorente a 5, Llorente was clearing up any errors there, and Cooper done the same, vice versa. So maybe that's what Jesse sees, and that's the parent he wants. Me personally, I'd be going Cooper and Cresswell. Right, we're going to move on to our double pivots here. Oh, my neck is sore today. That is wild. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that in the camera, but the cracks in my neck is shocking. Ugh. Right. Matthias 𝐃𝐿𝐶. Matthias 𝐃𝐿𝐶, I thought, done very, very well. And would just like to throw one out there to Bob. F off, Bob. Yes, can we just all say F off, Bob, right now? Is he one of the best midfielders in the world? No. So that doesn't mean anything. He puts in a shift. He's got that work rate and that work ethic, and he has been getting better and better under Marsh. He has been a different player, much like others in this team. 𝐃𝐿𝐶 gave a good solid account of himself. He picked out some good passes. He had some great interceptions. That pairing of him and Forshaw was very good. And it would be interesting to see the dynamic of, say a pairing of 𝐃𝐿𝐶 and Phillips, Forshaw, Phillips, just the way it'll all work. Because they're starting to play more the way I think Calvin does with England. I'm not sure. If you're English, let me know if that's pretty much how England play, because I really don't care about the English national team at all. So yeah, like I was pleased with 𝐃𝐿𝐶. He was getting himself into dangerous positions, and at the same time making sure he was getting back to defend. He was a good box-to-box midfielder performance. It was solid. I was happy with it, and I'm sure he'd be happy with it. We know Bob isn't, but F off, Bob. So overall, I'm going to give 𝐃𝐿𝐶 a respectable 6. Wasn't outstanding, but he wasn't poor. He gave a good, solid performance. And you know what? See if we have players that give good, solid performances week in, week out, you can't complain. You can't complain. He had the effort, he had the work rate, and he was picking up good passes. Yes, giving away all the time. But I think overall, he gave a good account of himself. He did. Right, move on to his tag team partner there, Adam Forshaw. Many calling for Forshaw to be the player of the season so far. And it's understandable why. Even whenever he's not at his best, he still puts in a solid shift. His vision, his awareness, fighting back to get the ball. And he's very, very commanding in the centre of the pitch as well. Oh my goodness. I snorted there. So yeah, like, I don't know how anyone can say Forshaw's been poor or he's not good enough or anything. And I think when Rad said on that tweet so long ago about Forshaw being like a new signing, and he has been. It's been backed up week in, week out. Would he be the first name on the team sheet for me now? Phillips is back. This is the joys of Jesse Marsh, just because he will rotate. We'll see different pairings with Phillips there. But I think the go-to is going to be Forshaw and Phillips. But Forshaw he's a workhorse. He's a ring general, as they would say in wrestling. He's been very commanding. He's picking out good passes. He's looking around. He's taking the time. He's confident on the ball. He's strong when trying to fight for the ball back. He's not afraid to get stuck in, and he showed that again against Southampton. Again, not a world-class midfielder. He wasn't blowing me away, but he gave a good, solid performance, and for that, I give him a 6. Yep. Right. Move on now to our wingers, and I'm going to start off with Raphinha. I have a feeling people are going to score Raphinha higher than what I have. But hear me out. Hear me out. This past 2 weeks, Raphinha's head has been getting pulled left, right, and everywhere by none other than rumours generated by people trying to stay relevant in the mainstream media or whatever, particularly Fabrizio Romano, who must be getting some sort of commission if Raphinha goes to Barcelona. We got actual, legit, proper, reliable information and reported on it. We weren't putting clickbait stuff out every single frigging day and talking about it non-stop. We put it out once and we've addressed it. But we also know, from what we have been told by multiple sources, Raphinha is extremely pissed off, pardon my French, with the rumours and with the people saying this and that, and that he's going. As far as Raphinha is concerned, he is a Leeds player. He has given Leeds his demands of what he wants for an extended contract. But everything else is a non-story. But it keeps going, and that rumour mill keeps going. And the only thing it's done hasn't pushed Raphinha closer to Barca, if that's people's intention of it. All it's done is pissed off one of our most skillful, talented players. So well done, you. So yeah, listen, it's a no. I think that is what affected his performance yesterday. 100%, 100%. He wasn't poor. I'm not even saying I'm not even indicating he was poor, but his work rate wasn't what I like it to be. I like to see Raphinha do a bit more, but when he was losing the ball, the head was going down and stuff. He was pivotal for a couple of chances, keeping the ball in, and even the Harrison goal, he done fantastic with. Just fighting to get that ball, keeping it in and getting it straight over. It was brilliant. It's brilliant. But again, there were times where you just seen when he lost the ball or things didn't go the way he had foreseen it, you just seen the head. And to me, that is because he has been pissed off. He's trying to get his head straight. And you know what? Fair play to him, because I think he done well enough to give a good account of himself. The odd misplaced pass, maybe not running into a position where someone was expecting him to run on the odd occasion with Bill Ayling going forward. But lots of good link-up play between him and Rodrigo yet again. Wonderful transitions between him and Harrison and James, where they do that whole hokey-cokey swapping about who's going where. So overall, look, I don't think he done bad. I think he could have done better. I still think he was an important member of the team and did play a pivotal role on several occasions in the match. I'm giving him a 6. I think it's a respectable score to give him. If it was Phil, I dare say it would have been a 6.5, probably. But yeah, that's what I'm giving Raphinha. Now, on the Harrison, yet again, getting into good spaces, getting into good attacking positions. He's doing better defending than going forward at the minute, in my opinion. He's getting back and he's defending really, really well. Is Harrison a left-back option that needs to be explored? Like, see once we're safe here. I would like to see Harrison play at left-back and see how that pans out. Because at the minute, defensively, he is much better. He's got the pace. He's intercepting the ball really, really well. He fights hard for it. He chases the ball. Brilliant things you want to see from a fullback. We know he's got the ability to go forward, but we also know that he doesn't have the ability to make a decision. I would hate to ask him what he wants for dinner. Like, he constantly works himself into a position where he's surrounded by players. He had options and he overplays it. Then there's the times where he passes the ball out and other players are going, "What? Why? Why were you doing that? I wasn't going there." Is it a vision thing? Is it a decision thing? I don't know. For me, Harrison was probably going to get a 5, but he scored the goal. I'm giving him a 6. The goal bumps him up. Sorry. Dan James, I'm going to do next as well. Whilst many look at him as he was a striker, he was playing as the striker, you have to remember that him, Harrison, and Raphinha do that wee triangle thing and they swap about constantly. You know, I don't know who's playing where sometimes. Obviously, James was the target of the front, but also Rodrigo in there behind him too. So he wasn't left on his own the way it was in the setup under Bielsa. Under Marsh, there's kind of two of them up there, with Rodrigo playing slightly behind. James' work rate and his pace is something else. So many times whenever that ball's coming up to him, you're going, he's going to get this in, but he doesn't. Do you know why? Because he's not a natural striker. He's a winger. He doesn't have that striker's instinct. I tell you now, see if Joffrey had his pace. Joffrey's sitting on a hat trick yesterday. Like, honestly. I'll get on to Joffrey in a bit. James was unlucky yet again not to have scored. And I don't think that comes down to a lack of training. I think it comes down to the fact that he's not a striker. He's not a striker. And there's only so much Marsh can do in this situation because he's wanting people with experience there to make that difference. Joffrey's been doing great coming on, making an impact as a sub. I think yet again, Southampton, he's done enough. I'll get into Joffrey in a minute and get my head of myself. But James overall, again, solid performance, great work rate. Love that pace. Love that he's constantly trying to get in ahead of defenders and he just wants to make a difference, and you see how much it means to him. Overall, again, solid performance. I'm giving him a 6. Again, it was nothing outstanding, nothing exceptional from either one of the death triangle, so we call it. But yeah, that's what I'm going for. Right, now on to Rodrigo Moreno. What a revelation he has been under Jesse Marsh. What a revelation. This is a guy that pretty much all season long, I have been saying, ship him out, get rid of him. He is awful. He doesn't want to be here. Blah, blah, blah. And you know what? I know I'm not the only one that has said this. I have been calling him Rodrigo for months. I have said he is literally the worst purchase we have ever had. From Jesse Marsh has came in, I believe we are now seeing the player that we thought we were getting. And he's getting better and better and better. He's getting into the right positions. You see the passion on his face, particularly during the matches, and he's getting pissed off with himself and his teammates whenever things are going wrong. And not particularly things going wrong, but like whenever a certain play doesn't pan out, and he, in his head, he's envisioned we're going to score here, and he's just so disappointed when it doesn't pan out. And even it's compared to the likes of Bamford, who would pull back and defend the whole way back to the line. Rodrigo doesn't do that, but he does defend enough, in my opinion, now. You see, he's constantly looking to be in the right place at the right time. He's always, I'm baffled, but he's always left unmarked. Nobody's near him, ever. So when he's got the ball, he has time to do it. But you also see that players now know, oh my God, he's going to do something. Because as soon as he gets the ball, you see, just like Raphinha, 2 or 3 players getting straight on him. Overall, for me, Rodrigo was undoubtedly my man of the match. I've given him an 8. Some might say that's overkill. I don't think it is. I think overall he was the best player on the pitch, start to finish. Closely followed by Cooper, obviously, for commanding that defensive line. Really. Rodrigo, I really want to see him get on the score sheet more and more now. You know, he's 2 goals out of his last 3. It's a great. I just love what he's doing at the minute. It's really good. Right, let's get on to the subs that were used. Firstly, I'm going to go on Pascal Striker. Give him a 6. So I went straight up without giving Pascal a 6. He didn't really have a lot to do when he came on. I don't remember anything really happening when he came on that he had to do. few tackles, few passes, so it wasn't poor. So I don't think it was fair to give him the same scoring as some of the other defenders. So I've gave Pascal a 6. And the homegrown boy returns. Kalvin Phillips comes back after so long out. At one point, I think a lot of us thought we're never going to see him again this season. Thank God he wasn't wearing them god-awful shoes. He had to have lost a bet. I haven't seen if he's commented on this or anything. It had to have been an April Fool's prank. There is not a hope on there's not a hope on God's green earth that he wears them because he likes it. That is not a fashion choice, sir. That is a fail. That is a flipping, you lost a bet. You had to have lost a bet, Calvin. Please tell me you lost a bet. But yes, look, Calvin come on, and he looked like he hasn't missed a beat. Great defensive positions, great interceptions, great passing, and going forward as well. Again, not something that we've seen a lot of under Bielsa with Calvin. But going forward, you've seen he was getting into good positions to deliver the ball to good areas that could have potentially created something. I was extremely pleased to see this side of Calvin, as I know many people say that this is stuff that he does with England. I want to see more of that. I can't wait to see him start soon. Hopefully he's available to start against Watford. Jesse's going to start to have a bit of a selection header on his heads here. But overall, I thought Calvin gave a much better account of himself than many of his counterparts. And plus, it was his return. I'm going to be a wee bit generous and giving Phillips a 7, 100%. Right, the final player to be marked is, of course, Joffrey Gelhardt. Joffrey. The fight in that lad, he just doesn't care what size you are, who you are, where you came from. He wants that ball, and he's going to go for it, and he's going to take it off you. It took 3 players to bring him down, but not long after he came on. Plus, he was fouled by Walker Peters, or sorry, Salisu, wasn't it? It was Salisu that fouled him in the box. And a goal kick was given. So I'll get into this when I'm grading the referee. So really, Joffrey essentially pretty much won us a penalty that wasn't given. If his shirt is red, that's probably given. But look, I think overall, Joffrey done what Joffrey does again. He come on, you hear the fans just getting riled up. And that's what we want, that dirty, riled up Leeds fans again. None of these namby-pamby clappers and half and half scarves. None of that there nonsense. That's not what we're about. That's not dirty Leeds. It's all right to go and say, oh, we're dirty Leeds. And then get your clapper out. Stick your clapper where the sun doesn't shine. That's actually Pluto. The sun doesn't shine on Pluto. It's not Uranus. Gelhardt was just great. Great passing. Getting into good positions, fought back for the ball well, defended well when he had to, and just constantly looked like he wanted to get some. And that is the attitude that I want to see from all our players. And you know what? You see it from all the younger guys. So I want to see these younger guys used more. As soon as we're safe, I want to see Jesse experiment with this team. I really do. I really, really do. Overall, I think Joffrey done a much better job up top than Dan James done. And I'm giving Gelhardt a 7. That's what I'm giving him. For the length of time he was on, I think he was much better. I think James would have been better as a left wing and Joffrey up front. Hopefully, Marsh sees that now, and that's what we see going forward. Right. I'm going to go on to rating the ref here. Right. So the ref was overly inconsistent throughout the entire match. 1 minute, a foul's given for, say, a Llorente challenge or a Klitsch challenge, but the exact same thing happens at the other side of the pitch and it's not given, and vice versa. We're given free kicks for soft challenges, but then it's not given. There was, for Southampton alternatively. So I'm looking at both sides of the coin here, and overall the referee was exceptionally inconsistent, in particularly when it came to our penalty shout late on in the game. Joffrey is fouled in the box. So let's be honest, if that is anywhere else in the pitch, the referee's going, yeah, look, that's a free kick, right? So he's fouled in the box. Joffrey gets the ball, and then he's brought down. That's a penalty, right? But the referee's not even, VAR didn't even look at it. Idiots. The referee goes, no, it's a goal kick. There's no foul. But you're going, right, well, hang on a second. If that's not a foul, you're then assuming that Salisu got to the ball, which means Salisu done a good tackle and knocked it out for a corner. No, it's a goal kick. That makes no rational sense whatsoever on any planet. That is absolute ludicrousy. Ludicrousy. It's friggin' mental, is what it is. Absolutely mental. That referee was awful. We only get crap refs, and he's getting a 5. Right, on to Jesse Marsch. My score for Jesse Marsch, because I'm a Jesse Marsch fanboy. Not even going to lie about it. Love him already. Love his stonewashed jeans. I think tactically he's got this down. Still needs to get a couple of those wee decisions right for me in regards to starting lineup. But I am going to give Jesse Marsch a 10 out of 10 because of his ball skills when the ball came out and he started doing keepy-ups and then flicks it on the outside of his foot. So yes, Marsch gets a 10 simply because he is the king of keepy-ups. That's what I'm going with. We'll leave it on a wee light note. Right, that is it. Let me see all your scores in the comments as you're watching along. I'll be checking them out. Make sure you have hit that like button as well. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. We are very, very close to 25,000 at the minute. So please do get them subs coming in. Really do appreciate it. And until the world stops going round, doesn't matter how long or how you support Leeds or when you started supporting the Leeds. Hell, there's staff in our club that doesn't support Leeds. So listen, we will all be here much longer than any staff, any manager, any player, because we are here from the cradle to the grave, marching on together. Leeds, 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 Leeds.